Hey, Sam.
Hey, Bev. What you drinking over there?
I just opened a Nut House
Mm.
peanut butter porter by Millersburg Brewing Company. And when I picked it out of the fridge this evening, Aurora saw it and she goes, "Ooh, is that a donkey on the can?" I was like, "No, it's a horse, but I'm going to pretend like it's a donkey because that makes me happy." What are you drinking over there?
I have a 2016 Apila, Apila. I'm guessing Apila. It's a Merlot from Chile, and it's pretty delicious, especially for a Merlot. Since they're not always my favorite, they've kind of been growing on me, but the climate in Chile for this is a Mediterranean climate. And the vineyard is situated between the foothills of the Andes and the Pacific Ocean. So I feel kind of fancy and exotic drinking this wine. So
That sounds very
yeah,
fancy.
yeah, it's a good one. After a long day and a long work week, sometimes I just really want a glass of red wine. Like it seems kind of cliche, but it just makes me feel better. So you know what? It's a good choice for my heart, and I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing cliche about wanting to unwind with something that makes you happy.
Unwind.
We're so punny.
There's so many bad jokes.
Well,
Uh,
welcome to We Drink and We Farm Things.
Woo, that's Bev over there.
And that's Sam over there.
And this is the Farm Comedy Podcast that is happy hour for your ear holes.
We drink adult beverages, talk about farming things, and give zero clucks about having the perfect farm life or real life for that matter.
Yeah, that's both very true. And it's not like we don't want things to be good on our farms or real life, but the realities of life in general aren't always rainbows and sunshine. So we like to keep it real and have discussions that include these kinds of situations.
Yeah, and the mistakes we make, new knowledge we gain, we like to try to entertain you. And sometimes we go off on tangents about life and non farming related things.
That's right. And you can check those tangents out over on the Patreon. We've recorded like a 5-minute one today testing our sound equipment. So you can go check that out in longer previous sessions over at patreon.com/drinkandfarm.
And while you're there, be sure and check that page out because we're currently doing a Patreon drive because we are going to Coop Camp in June. And we need some new equipment. We need a hotel room. We got to drive there. There's some expenses involved in going on the road. So we're sending out little gifties in April to patrons that are at the $5 level and above. So you can feel good getting a cool gift and feel good knowing that you're helping sending us to Coop Camp. Hooray!
Hooray is correct. And one of our drink sponsors from Patreon is sponsoring our beverages today, and that is Elise Ferguson at EGF Brahma Mama over on Instagram. So thanks, Elise, and make sure you go check out her Instagram.
Yeah, and I just realized something. I've been calling Brahmas Brahamas because that's how it's spelled.
I think it's
Brahma.
Brahma's, honestly.
So maybe it's Brahma Mama. I don't know.
There's a there's a woo! It's been a long week. There's a documentary called Chicken People. And I think one of the guys on there calls them Brahmas or Brahmas.
Oh.
But I think he was more like Southern. So I feel like I'll probably just have to go YouTube after this and like check them all out to see how different people say it. It's probably like tomato.
Well, because when I saw her Instagram handle, I always say in my head, Brahma Mama, because I don't know, it just
Like
sounds
Bahama
so
Mama?
peppy. Yeah, like Bahama Mama, but Brahmas, yeah. And then I was like, wait, no, that's not how you pronounce that. It's not Brahmas, but I want to say it that way for some reason.
Well, you know what, Bev? I'll accept you no matter what way you say Brahmas.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So I have a correction this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, last week I talked about those tanks that you could store the semen canes in if you wanted to artificially inseminate your goats. And I said that the tanks were full of nitrous oxide to keep them cold. But nitrous oxide is what the dentist gives you when you're scared of him to make you laugh. And it'll also make your car go fast. It's liquid nitrogen that keeps things frozen.
I mean, you said nitro. So you meant it.
Yeah. I mean, clearly I failed chemistry 3 times, and that's not a lie. I say that seriously.
I never even took it. I avoided it because I knew I'd probably fail it. So I managed to get through high school, undergrad, and grad school without any chemistry. So I feel like that in and of itself is quite the achievement.
Yeah, that is quite the achievement. In fact, I waited to take my science requirement that I needed for my bachelor's degree. I waited until the very last class of my bachelor's degree. And then I took biology, and I loved biology. So I was like, shit, I really missed my calling here.
Yeah, that's how I was too. I really liked advanced biology in high school because that's where you got to dissect all the animals.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very interesting, and I liked it. But I think I still got like a C+ in that class because I liked cutting everything open, but I couldn't remember what everything was, apparently. So... But hey, you know what? It's all good. I enjoyed it while I was there and came out on top as an average student. So,
I mean, average is good.
This is exactly why we don't say that we're experts at anything, because we're just figuring this stuff out. We misstep and misspeak all the time. And that's why we have a corrections corner, to show you that it's okay to be human and to learn from your mistakes.
That's right. So, has Diana ended that hostage situation over there yet?
Nope. She has not. I mean, by the time this episode drops next Friday, I hope she has, but maybe she won't. Maybe when, I saw Toot mount her at Aslan's birthday party, that was when the magic really happened. And I'm going to wait like almost 2 more weeks. It's totally possible. It's just bizarre because her ligaments are gone. It's not like they came back. And it feels looser and looser every day, and she's incredibly puffy back there. But it's just like, she'll have one when she's ready, and she hasn't like gone into labor. She's not like in labor too long or pushing or anything like that. I think she's just, enjoying her little solitary vacation at Club Med with her private stash of alfalfa hay and grain that she doesn't need to compete with the boys for. So, yeah. We're still waiting. And I'm still getting up every few hours in the night to like look at the camera and make sure there's no babies on the ground.
Yeah, good call. I was gonna say, are you even sure that she's pregnant? But it sounds like she is. If like she had ligaments and then they're gone, and she's a little puffy in the back end. Yeah,
and I definitely felt babies in there the other day, like going nuts. So
good.
Yeah, maybe they're just taking a little longer to get into position, And we did, after Toot busted in and I was like, ooh, Valentine's Day babies, we did kind of just let them hang out together for a couple weeks. So, like, lesson learned there, don't do that, especially when you have a full-time job. It's like, I ended up staying home, yesterday, which was Thursday, because I wasn't feeling the greatest. Probably because I haven't been sleeping great, and I like started feeling like sinus crappy. And I have, you know, the luxury and the bosses that are very accommodating. You know, if you don't feel well, you could stay home because they don't want you to spread your germs. So I, you know, kept an eye on her yesterday, but it's like, I need to physically go back into work next week. So if she could just have them this weekend, that would be ideal.
Well, if there's anything we've learned, it's that you can't rush Mother Nature.
No, you can't.
So we're crossing our fingers that next week there's baby goats. We're crossing our fingers that Sunday there's baby goats. Come on.
Yeah, I could deal with Monday too, because that's a work from home day. I'm gonna be pissed if she does it on Tuesday. But it'll be fine. Either way. I'm kind of excited though that it's a little more spaced out from the other ones, because that just means I'll have more baby goats longer.
Yeah, that's super true. So we got our February Honey and Rue boxes.
Yes, we did. That was a happy piece of mail. I love getting that.
Right? That's always like one of my favorite days of the month, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So what was your favorite thing in the box this month?
So I'm going to be a weirdo and say that my favorite thing in the box was the wolf pee.
People are probably like, wolf pee, what?
Well, and the reason is so it just like, it's called a wolf urine pee shot. I mean, it's called a pee shot. So how can that not make you laugh like a 12-year-old boy?
Like I am right now.
But you're supposed to just open the top of it and you store it in your coop. And the smell coming from the canister, like you don't have to spread it, you don't have to touch it, you don't have to do anything like yucky with it. Just like put it up in a corner somewhere in your coop where your chickens can't get to it, and it will keep predators away, like weasels and coyotes and bears. Oh my. I mean, I don't have bears, but I do have weasels and coyotes. So.
You know, yeah. And you never know, some oddity could happen and one wanders down that way, you know. We've had bear sightings in Fowlerville before.
Oh, have you?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it happens.
That's true. Somebody did say that there were black bears in Chillicothe last year, and they were being serious and not facetious. So I guess we do have some bears around here. I don't see them very often.
It's just, you know, not very common probably, but it's possible. But now you have a wolf urine pee shot to keep you safe. Well, your chicken safe.
Yeah, keep the chicken safe. Well, and something else that I was thinking of, if it does a good job of like, if I notice that like the squirrels won't go around to the coop or like raccoons or anything else, I might pick up a couple more of these and like put them in the gardens to try to keep those animals from digging into the garden beds. Like, I don't know if it would work for that. This is like purely speculation corner, but it might. It's certainly worth a shot. A pee shot.
It's worth a pee shot.
What was your favorite thing from the box?
So I'm always a fan of dried herbs. So there was Honey and Rue brand Coop Complete dried herbs. So I was excited that there was a bag of that in there. I was a little confused by the pea shot personally, but I'm glad that, you know, you are excited about it. And now that, you know, you've told me about it, I might just open it up and put it in my coop too. Because I like looked at it and then I was like, what? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I put it down and then I like forgot about it for a minute. So. But I also really like the watercolor prints tote bag. That's just freaking adorable.
Yeah, it is. It's super cute. And I'll probably definitely put a chicken in it at some point just to be funny.
It only seems appropriate.
But we also got like a sample size bottle of Claudit, which is like an all natural mineral that stops bleeding. Super useful this time of year when the spring is starting to happen and everybody gets a little feisty.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's also just good to have on hand for things like bumblefoot surgery, just in case the little guy or girl starts bleeding from the foot. It's good to have that on hand as well. So that'll be handy, and I hope I don't have to use it, but I'll be grateful that I have it if I do.
Yeah, and this is another one of those small size bottles, which is perfect for your little grab and go emergency kit. So you don't have to put your full size blood stop powder in there because my container of blood stop powder is like a ridiculous size. So
Yeah, exactly. I like travel size kind of things. But it's like it's funny because it's like I have under my cabinets a bunch of boxes from Henny and Rue with all the different supplies in it. I just haven't consolidated it to like one bag or box. It's like if you open my cabinet, it looks like I'm a Henny and Rue store. It's pretty
I like it.
fabulous.
And also inside the box was a bag of Wildlife Sciences mealworms, and we got a sweet pair of Henny and Rue work gloves.
Yes.
Which, I mean, you can never have too many gloves.
Oh, for sure.
Never. I mean, guests can use them. Other people you talk into doing work on your farm can use them. Or you can't find your favorite pair of gloves. You can use these, or they can become your new favorite pair of gloves.
Exactly. There's so many opportunities. And then we also got My Urban Coop's Plump Pumpkin Chicken Chew, which is pretty exciting. I felt like there was a lot in this box. It was really fun to open and go through.
Yeah, this has been one of my favorite boxes. I feel like I say that a lot, but I really like things and I really like chicken things.
So this is like right up our alley.
Yeah. And of course, in every box is one of the nesting box liners. And I wanted to remind everybody that I actually do use the nesting box liners from the bottom of the box. I know they're not the cushiest nesting box liners, but the reason why I use them is they break broodies really well in the springtime.
Oh, that's smart.
It helps cool them off, and they don't want to hang out in the nesting box because it's not like all plump and filled, to the brim with straw. I mean, an egg breaks every now and then, but like very, very rarely. And usually it's because all 10 of them laid in the same freaking box. So they were out of room and somebody probably stepped on one.
Yes.
So, yeah. So if you haven't subscribed to Henny and Rue yet, you should do that over at honeyandrue.com. And you can save 10% off of your first box when you subscribe using our code, which is Drink and Farm. Hey, Sam, can you see that?
See what, Bev? This is a podcast, not a YouTube channel.
I think that fat groundhog must have been right about spring a coming early because my counters are covered with fresh eggs.
Yes. Oh my gosh, same here. I thought that when I was collecting eggs today. It was crazy. And now that the ladies are getting back into the swing of full egg production, it's crucial that they get enough calcium, which means extra Grubblies happy hours.
Happy hour with my hens is my favorite time of day, and knowing that Grubblies are farm grown in the USA and are packed with 50% more calcium than other wormy chicken snacks makes #Grubblies happy hour that much better.
The calcium requirement for laying hens is very high, and Grubblies have the right phosphorus to calcium ratio, so your chickens can absorb all that nutrition they need to produce high quality eggs and strong eggshells.
So switch to the higher calcium snack for your hens and save 15% on your first order of Grubblies using code FARM15 at grubblyfarms.com.
Already a huge Grubblies fan? Make sure you subscribe and save 10% on every shipment of Grubblies at grubblyfarms.com. So, what are we going to talk about today, Bev?
So I have been starting seeds.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to grow things this year.
Okay.
Apparently.
All right. We're going to have a green thumb this year. Well, you are. I probably won't. I haven't started shit.
Well, so here's how it normally goes for me with my gardening. I usually start the year with having super awesome intentions, and I buy a ridiculous amount of starting pots, growing medium, and seeds. And then I forget about them and I scramble to fill the pots and plant the seeds and find enough daylight inside my house when it's already sort of too late to plant seeds, but it's, like too cold outside to actually leave them outside yet. And I always forget to label my pots, so everything that I plant is a mystery. And I forget to keep rotating them around to make sure that they get enough light. I forget to water everything. And then I just end up giving up and throwing seeds in the dirt around mid-May. And then by mid-June, everything is covered in weeds. And I admit defeat and promise myself I will do better next year. Wash, rinse, repeat.
So I felt like I just went on a journey with you.
That was my seed starting journey. You're welcome. Goodbye, the end.
Thanks for listening to We Drink and We Farm Things.
I mean, does that sound familiar to anybody else? Because if it does, you're totally my seed starting soul sister.
No. I mean, I've never done seed starting before, but that pretty much sounds like when I buy like seedlings, how it goes. So yeah, it feels like if I tried to do the seed starting, I would just fail way earlier and just kind of have the same journey as you.
Well, I am actually trying to do something different this year because, like, you've heard that saying, you know, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results means that you're certifiably insane.
Yeah.
It goes something like that.
Yeah. And if anybody thinks we're sane at this point, then they haven't listened to us for very long. So
yeah, and this is episode 50. So you got 49 other ones to listen to and a whole slew of BS. Yes. And if you don't think we're insane after all of that, then you're our people.
Yeah, welcome.
So what I'm doing different this year is that I'm trying to be more intentional with my time, and very specifically my time in the morning.
Okay.
Because I've been, I mean, you know, it's no secret. I do a couple of jobs. We do this podcasting together. I'm trying to do this animal thing in the backyard. So I'm really busy and I do a lot and I enjoy it all. I love it all. So this isn't me like complaining or saying woe is me or anything. But I feel like if I can get a hold of my mornings, then I can use like time that I used to originally waste to actually work on some of the stuff that I really want to do, like having a garden.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, you know, starting your day off right can, you know, make the whole day better. Just like even for me, like making myself brush my teeth and wash my face before I sit down and do work. Otherwise, it'll be like 3:00 in the afternoon and I'm just a hot mess and my teeth still haven't been brushed and it feels gross. But if I get up and do all that stuff ahead of time, I tend to do way more. So I can totally understand how getting a handle on your mornings could like help with this as well.
Yeah, and I've been doing that exact same thing that you've been doing where I try to brush my teeth and wash my face like right as I get up because yeah, it does. It like makes me feel, it just makes me feel new. Mm-hmm. So cheesy as that sounds.
but for real though.
Well, so I've had this like morning routine thing that I've been working on. And for the past couple of weeks, have been making some really big improvements. Like I'm looking at my bed right now and it's made.
Oh.
And I've been making it every morning for the last like 2-ish weeks. So I have been making some progress. My face is cleaner because I've actually been washing my face. Like my breath smells better. All that good stuff. But I'm still like not quite utilizing my morning time very well. So I got myself a morning journal that's supposed to like, I don't know, cement your morning routine like into your routine. I don't know. I'll tell everybody how it goes. I'm going to link to it in the show notes so that if anybody wants to look at it, they can. But I haven't started yet, so I can't give you like a good review on it. But it's called like the Habit Nest Morning Journal, I guess. But I've read all the intros and I actually really like it because I feel like they like cut through all the bullshit about like, you know, why you want to sleep in or why you want to just wake up and stare at your phone. So I don't feel like such a slacker for wanting to do both of those things.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't reached my morning routine mecca though, I actually have started seeds because one of the things that's on my morning checklist, my morning checklist is on my phone. I use Google Keep for my morning checklist. And I just uncheck all the boxes at the end of my morning, whether I did the whole thing or not. It doesn't matter. That way it's clear for the next morning. But one of the items is to do a homestead task. And it's just supposed to be something small, like feed my sourdough or, like in this case, starting seeds. So I started seeds in paper towels and plastic baggies, which is new for me. I have never done that before. So have you heard of this method, Sam?
I think I've seen it on Instagram, like other people doing it. So it didn't look totally new to me, but I don't understand like exactly how it works or why that would be a preferred method.
So my husband came into the office today. He came in and popped his head in and he was like, hey, I wanted to tell you why you're supposed to fold the paper towel over the top of the seeds. Because the other day I posted a thing to my stories about me having to fix them all because I wanted to look at the seeds in the plastic bag. So I was like, well, that's no fun. How am I going to know if they sprouted if I can't see the seeds? But it's because when you plant seeds, they're in the dirt. So they're wet on both sides.
Okay. Which makes sense, right?
Yeah, it totally does. But also wanting to see the seeds since they were in a plastic bag made sense to me too. But I was like, oh yeah, thanks, honey. I needed to know that like a week ago. But I digress. So yeah, I've been starting. It's mid-February now. And the first day that I started seeds was on February 10th. I'm in zone 6B. So if there's any other gardeners out there, you can use that information for how I'm doing my timing. I've started peppers, tomatoes, and perennials, which is like artichokes, strawberries, and asparagus. And I have also started some herbs because the herbs are just going to go in a pot inside the house for now. But all of those things take forever to start from seeds. So starting them now, mid-February, and not being able to plant them until May, they need all that time to grow their foliage and stuff so that you can actually get flowers and harvest anything from them by, midsummer. And starting seeds in paper towels helps you reduce time and space wasted because it allows you to only dedicate soil space to seeds that have actually germinated.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, usually you'll stick a seed in a little pot and then like a pepper seed takes 14 to 21 days to sprout. So you lost 3 weeks and that seed was never going to germinate.
That's depressing.
Right? Gardening is kind of depressing until you figure it out. Not saying I figured it out this year, but I feel like I've got a little more hold of it. Oh, and the seeds germinate faster inside the paper towels than they do inside the soil because the paper towels are like a constantly warmish, moist environment. I mean, I say the word moist a lot. I hope nobody minds. Sam's plugging her ears every time.
I'm just going to drink every time you say moist.
Sam's going to be drunk by the end of this.
Great.
And you can start hundreds of seeds in a really small space using this paper towel method. So even if you have bags of really old seeds that you don't even know if they're any good anymore, dump the whole thing into one of these paper towel bag things. I'm going to tell you how to do it. And then you can just plant the seeds that actually germinate. Even if you get a super crazy low germination rate, some of them might still sprout and you didn't waste any pots or soil to find out. So, and you didn't have to throw the seeds in trash. So win-win.
Yeah. Win, win, win.
We're just winning all over the place.
Winning.
So to get started, you just grab a box of sandwich bags, a Sharpie, a roll of paper towels, and your seeds. And don't get hung up on how many of each seed you want to have plants for because that's just going to complicate it and it's going to make it so that you don't start because that's the way my brain works. I mean, if you're super organized, then that's not going to work for you. But if you're like me, that might work for you.
Just dump them all in there. It'll be fine.
Dump them all in there. Yeah. So you'll label the bags with the dates and the seed varietal. I like to just keep track of what kind of each type of crop I planted, just out of curiosity more than anything else. And, if I find out that we don't really like something or it didn't do well, then I won't order any more of those seeds. But Maybe I'll remember that. Maybe I won't, because sometimes I'm not the greatest at keeping records. And then you'll dampen the paper towel, wring it out, because you want it to just be lightly moist, not dripping wet. And then you're going to flatten it out, shake some seeds on it, and fold the paper towel over the seeds, because I already explained why. They need to stay moist. Now, I'm on a mission to say moist as many times as possible.
Mission, get Sam drunk.
And then you put the paper towel in the bag, and you'll just store it in an area that's not too cold, hot, or drafty. Mine are just on like one of those 8-foot collapsible tables in my office, because I put one up for a project a while back and then never cleaned it off. Well, now I cleaned it off and just threw seeds on it. So,
well, there you go.
It lives there now.
You have a table full of moist seeds in your office.
I do. The moistest office around.
Oh,
no, my office is not that moist. Yuck. I'm going to take that back. I take that back.
People are going to stop listening to us after this episode because of moist.
Don't worry. I'll warn them at the beginning.
Okay.
And then you'll just check on the seeds every day to make sure that the paper towel is still damp and that nothing unwanted has started to grow, like mold. Because you don't want mold in your seeds. Mold in your seeds are a bad thing. And I currently have tons of seeds sprouted, and I'm working on getting them all in soil, which is pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And my next step in my planting process, and this was something that I had started last year, but I never really followed through on. So we'll see if I follow through on it this year. I like to use peat pellets to germinate my seeds in, or to plant my seeds in. My seeds will already be germinated this year, but peat pellets are like these little discs of like a peat moss growing medium that's been like compressed, and you put it into warm water and it expands up like a little pot. And then I keep them in these little like plastic trays that have a dome cover that go over them that kind of acts like a little mini greenhouse.
Oh.
It's kind of hard to describe, but I'll put links to that stuff in the show notes also, so people can check it out if they're interested in looking at it. And then once they outgrow the little dome covers, I move the peat pellets into like a little mix of soil into tiny biodegradable pots that like tear apart. So you can just plant the little biodegradable pot straight into the garden.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they're like set into these plastic trays so that the biodegradable pot stays like upright until you're ready to plant it. Because if you just like plant them into the biodegradable pots and you water them for a few days, the pots will just, fall apart because they're not really made for that. Yeah.
That makes sense.
And what's kind of cool is like all of the plastic domes and trays and stuff that the biodegradable pots go in, I save those and reuse them. So this is the second year for a lot of my gear, even though I didn't get a lot in the ground last year. I still tried to use it last year. So I did have to buy a few new things this year because I needed like more biodegradable pots. And I also got some 10 by 20 inch like trays that don't have holes in the bottom of them, because last year I made it like a watery mess all over a lot of things.
Whoops.
So I'm going to try not to do that this year. And I also have increased my organization this year. I started an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes because it's just like on Google Drive. And if anybody wants to download it, they can. But I'll let everybody know when it's done because I'm still like filling in formulas and stuff in it because I want to check my germination rate of each variety of seed that I have. And then in the spreadsheet, I'm keeping track of like what day I started the seeds, what day they get transplanted into the little peat pellets, what day they get transplanted into the little pots, and then what day they go into the garden. But I added a column on there and a link to the Farmer's Almanac website so that I can see what date they're supposed to go inside the garden. And alongside that date, I also added a column to see when the ideal time is to plant them based on the moon phase.
Oh.
Yeah, and I got the idea for moon phase gardening from at Glastick Homestead. I'm sure I totally butchered her name because I'm the worst at pronouncing names. But yeah, she does. It's called moon phase gardening, and there's actually like some science behind it.
Hmm. Interesting.
I had never heard of this.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either.
I had to look up what moon phase gardening was, and I got some information from a website called gardeningbythemoon.com. So I'm going to tell you what moon phase gardening is, and I'm really excited to give it a try this year. So moon phase gardening is an old idea that's really popular in folklore and superstition, but it turns out that there's like actually scientific ideas to back it up. And what it is the Earth is in a large gravitational field, and that gravitational field is influenced by the moon and sun. And the tides are highest at the new and full moon when the sun and moon are lined up with the Earth. And just like the moon pulls the tides in the oceans, it also pulls up like the subtle moisture that's in the Earth. Which causes it to encourage plant growth. So like if you've ever noticed after like a I don't know, a full moon, suddenly the grass has to be mowed the next day. Like it might just be because deep water was pulled up by the gravitational pull, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Science.
Science. This episode is brought to you by science.
Science, bitch. I don't know.
And
why
alcohol.
I felt motivated to say that, but I did. Now I feel better. So
I like it. Since there's the highest amount of moisture in the soil at this time, like tests have actually proven that the seeds, when planted during this moon phase, will absorb the most water, and it'll cause the seeds to actually like burst and germinate faster.
Oh.
Planting with the phases of the moon will keep your plants in rhythm with the alternating gravitational pull. So moon phase gardening considers 4 phases or quarters of the moon that last about 7 days each. And the first 2 quarters are during the waxing or increasing moonlight. And then the last 2 quarters are during the waning, or when the moonlight is decreasing. Yeah, so the new moon is the most ideal time to plant or start seeds, since that lunar activity pulls the water up and causes the seeds to swell faster. And also the increasing moonlight creates balanced root and leaf growth, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the first quarter is also the best time to plant above ground bearing annual crops. So that would be like plants that produce their seeds outside of the fruit. So like lettuce or spinach or celery, stuff like that. I guess like grain crops and corn would be included in that.
Okay.
And in the second quarter, the gravitational pull is less, but the moonlight is strong, which creates healthy leaf growth. And it's generally a good time for planting, especially 2 days before the full moon, because that's when the plant will get the most light, during the day and in the evening. So the types of crops that prefer the second quarter are annuals that produce above ground, but their seeds are inside the fruit. So that's like beans or melons or peas, peppers, tomatoes, stuff like that. Okay. So you plant just before the full moon to get the benefits of peak moisture. And the third and fourth quarters are after the full moon, which is during the waning moon. And that is when the energy is starting to draw down. Okay. Can you tell I'm like talking about stuff? I have no idea what I'm saying.
But it makes sense, though. Like if you're thinking about gravity, like in the way that you're explaining it makes sense. So it's just that it's a new concept that we're both learning kind of at the same time. So you're teaching me something, so that just means that you're going to retain it even more. So this is a good thing.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, I had to do the research and then I had to type up the notes that I wanted to use. And then now I'm saying it out loud. So hopefully this moon phase thing will actually stick with me. During the third and fourth quarters, while the moonlight is waning, the gravitational pull is high, which creates the moisture in the soil, but the moonlight is decreasing, which helps the plant put the energy into the roots. So the first phase is when it's putting the energy into the leaves, but now it's putting the energy into the roots, which will help make a stronger plant. And so this time is a good time to plant root crops, so like your beets and carrots. And I have tons of beets and carrots on my list because those are my two favorite things to eat, like on the planet, besides ice cream.
I mean, different ends of the spectrum, but you know, it makes sense.
Yeah, they're like my favorite vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is also a good time to plant perennials, so like bulbs.
Okay.
And also it's a good time to transplant your plants. So if you do start seeds inside and want to transplant them, this is a good time to transplant it, since active root growth is the name of the game during this quarter.
Okay.
So during the fourth quarter, there's decreased gravitational pull and moonlight. So this is considered a resting period. So the fourth quarter is not an ideal time to put new plants in, but it's the best time to like cultivate, harvest. Transplanting is still okay during this time, and to fertilize and to prune. So that is moon phase gardening in a nutshell.
Nut. Which is like, yeah, something. Okay. I don't know where my brain was going with that, but I was like, moon phase, nuts. I don't know. Maybe because sometimes when there's a full moon, like it makes people kind of nutty. Maybe that's where my brain was going.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard that the full moon brings the nuts out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's usually like the ERs are busier and, you know, more accidents or something. I don't know. That could just be all like speculation, but yeah. Well, thank you for teaching me some new things today. Like, you know, starting seeds in plastic baggies and saying moist a lot and teaching me about moon phases. That was all good stuff. And I'm sure that some other people just got some new knowledge as well by listening.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And as I work on the moon phase gardening, and I really will link in the show notes to my Excel document that I'm working on, because you can use, if you download it onto your computer. I'm not super technical. I mean, I do a podcast, so I guess I do okay. But you'll be able to fill in your own information. So I'm going to put a link to like a template that's not going to have any of my information in it, because I can't risk somebody messing up my hard-earned morning routine gardening info time. So yeah, that's the end. And if anybody has any questions about moon phasing or want to chat about moon phasing, like do so in our Facebook group, because I'm hoping that somebody out there actually knows more about it than I do. But it's a topic that I got interested in thanks to following some pretty cool people on Instagram. So hopefully it'll spark something in somebody else too.
Woohoo! Yeah, so like we mentioned before, we are going to be at Coop Camp, and Coop Camp is June 7th through 9th, and you can register at fadedjeans.tv/coop-camp.html. That's also in the show notes, so go over there, give it a little gander, and you can come hang out with your favorite podcasters, which is totally us, we hope.
Yes, we certainly hope so. And take our survey. You can give us anonymous feedback. There is a link to that in the show notes.
And we've mentioned our Facebook group probably a couple of times, so you should go check that out at Facebook. If you search We Drink and We Farm Things, you'll probably find both our page and our group. To get into the group, you'll answer a few simple questions, and then Bev and I will grant you access. and you can just come in, introduce yourself, and make some new friends.
Yeah, and be sure and review us in all the places. And if you really like us, subscribe and download the episode when you listen. Downloading it allows us to get better listener counts. So we tell you why, just in case you're a rebel.
Yeah, it's a great way to support us for free too. And if you want, you can go check out our merchandise shops. I make some things, and you can go look at them and buy them at drinkandfarm.com/shop. There's some cool drinking vessels, some stickers, and other things like that. But we also have a second merch shop that sells shirts and hoodies and camping cups. If you go to drinkandfarmmerch.com, you can check that out.
And send us your farm stories. If you have a story from your farm you think fellow listeners could laugh at, learn from, or just warm their hearts, we want to hear it. So send them to us via direct message on Instagram, or you can email them to drinkandfarm@gmail.com. So thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, we will chat with you next week.
So drink,
farm,
and give zero clucks. Bye, guys.
Bye.